This is Justin AMZN on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019. We had a really nice open. Gap down back on the daily here. We had formed a Morningstar reversal. This is kind of a Morningstar busting gap down. Obviously, you can't continue to have a Morningstar reversal play out bullish when you have a bearish retest gap that actually makes a new low. It just, it kind of breaks up that pattern. So, yeah, we made a new lower low from this pivot. Made a really nice move lower on the 5-minute, very quick move down. This was a great place to be shorting right off of our line here. Put in a flag for about 40 minutes or so, and then rolled down. And if you had a target down here at 1714.50, that would have worked. If you had a target further down, I thought it was going to keep going, especially after it rolled over right here, continuing lower, and then it just chopped sideways, allowed the squeeze to come in, and actually made a new low on the day on this candle. And for those people not waiting for a close, they were trapped. So I circled somewhere, I think it was these wicks up here yesterday. Well, I can do the same thing here. Anybody who is shorting here, they got trapped. Same with anybody who was shorting here, actually, because it was making a new low below this wick. Anybody shorting here got trapped as it moved up and then just went sideways, and then they thought, oh, we're finally break even, or we're making money a little bit, get out, and they made a little bit of profit if they held through all this. But anybody shorting down here, they got trapped because it quickly moved back up. Within 15 minutes was all the way back up here at 1714.50. The high in this candle was actually 1714.63, so 13 cents past. I just like seeing it when it's so close. This one was 4 cents away. This one was, all right, that was 18 cents. That was a little further. Anyway, came right back into it here, pushed back past by 21 cents. But again, it's just silly for me to go through numbers like that. Anyway, we had these rallies back up to this price, and then we actually pushed through, got a close above, just to roll back down, and then push back up. This just chopped, sideways. It was really choppy all day, aside from that first hour and a half or so directionally. But there were some moves down here you could have taken bullish. If you had a good reason to be buying down here, which just going off of this hammer and people being trapped, sure, that's good enough reason to set up a trade. That could be in your plan that you're going to buy off that. I really like that we had a really nice stair step here that didn't continue bearish, that actually went bullish, gave you a really nice retest on this candle, continued with a triangle, and then broke out. It played out like a really nice pattern. So we'll look at what you could have done in here to buy probably off of this candle at 1 o'clock, and then ride that right back up into known resistance, and exit. So we'll see what that looked like. That would have been a 20-minute trade. So from 1 o'clock to 1:20, we'll see what happened on some calls, and then we'll take a look at some of the puts here and here. And actually, what I want to point out, and we'll go to it in just a sec. Let me see if I can sketch it just so I can make it really clear. The option price here matched the option price here on the put we're going to look at, and the option price here matched the option price here on the puts we're going to look at. So it's just really interesting how the puts were actually valued. So if we jump right into that, I have yesterday's put prices on the 1700 puts, and you can see this low, we opened up right at $6. That's where we pivoted here, right at $6. And then when we did that flag and pulled back, we almost got back to 6, not quite, but this range, you can see the cursor is hitting the high from yesterday's puts, a little closer to 650. This got all the way down to 620, 635, 627, bounced here at 655. It's right in that same range. And it's just interesting to see that the option prices are actually working a little better today, because we're still out of the money. It did see a really nice gap down from here to here, but the option prices were related to some clear areas yesterday, namely here and here on the option price, and it didn't even get into that. I mean, we actually sold off from here, which basically was this pivot. So you'd think, oh, well, that should be about the same, but you can see that this was actually a little lower than this price. Had you had a trade set up to get in anywhere in this range, I mean, you should have been in and out within a few minutes, which is one of the best ways to just trade this, is almost blindly. But having something set up when it's at a key level and showing a directional move, and even when it pulled back here, it didn't really pull back into it didn't get close enough to this line. It just really pulled right back into the 21 and was consolidating, putting the squeeze here. And I mean, the high wave candle here, I mean, you can just get in below that line, below that candle, or you can just get in bearish on that pullback. You're just so close to this line already. This is one that if you have the range to get in here, right on the 21, and have a stop up here on the option, that's really what this setup was. It was like getting in at 650 and a stop down at 550, and just looking for this value to hold and that pivot to hold, and it did. So that alternate ran up. You could have been exiting probably around 10 or 11 as it ran into the this price here. So it crossed this candle, pulled back into it at 935. So at 935, that was between a 10 and 11. So probably you could have exited at 10. That would have been easy here. It did end up running up, so that would have been getting in at like 650 and getting a run up to 10, maybe 1050. So that's 4R, to do that. If you had held on longer, really adjusted your stop and held even below this level. You had a hammer here. Those worked out as a really nice definition of the lows. Your stop could have been at like 850 to lock in 2R, or up at 950 would have been a little bit close here. The low on this one was 945. You wouldn't have moved your stop there then, but maybe over here it was at 950 and may have been stopped out, or this one right at 950. So it's a little too close when it's holding a clear low like that. You just want to let that support build, and then it did ultimately bounce. The other thing I like about this is 10 by 9 would have worked. 10 by 9 would have worked anywhere in here or here. Didn't work here though. It pulled back a little too far. But if you had waited for that candle and then bought 10 by 9, that would have worked up to 12. So a few times that would have worked. That's when we were basically bouncing below here, buying 10 by 9 on the puts right in here, and then waiting for this to come in and then getting in here. And then let's see, this was at 120. So 120 was this one, and it pulled back a little too far and then didn't go, didn't even really get up to 10. I mean, it did. So if you got in 10 by 9, this time would not have worked. Let's look at, we never really came all the way back to the lows in here either. So we'll see what we end up doing tomorrow. If we continue down, if we get some sort of rally back up to this level, and just kind of a really choppy day. But let's look at the calls. So it was at 1 o'clock. We want to look at a pullback, getting in a pullback in this candle and getting out at 120. So that would have been at 1 o'clock. So the low here at 1 o'clock. Now what's really interesting is if you had gotten it at 8, it pulled all the way back to 750 10 minutes later, just to continue to run up past 9. This would have really just been a scalping trade. Getting in at 8, getting out at 9. And this price at 110. Price at 110. So that was this candle. The call on this candle made a lower low than the call on this candle for the 1725 call. That's what we're looking at. So that's just crazy to see that kind of price movement here on such a small candle. This one being an inside candle you're just not seeing the value being held really well there, you know. So yeah, just really strange to see that much volume come in, a drop in the price, and just see it bounce so quickly. So really, in 10 minutes, I mean, if you were buying here, you probably bought too early, even though it looks right on the stock. On the option, it wouldn't have worked as well. But still, would have been buying these lows at 8 and flipping it at 9, maybe holding out for a little bit more, or maybe 775 instead of 8, going 775 up to like 925, maybe 950. But that, I mean, that still would have been just a bit of a push to get up there. It did it, but I mean, it even put in this price at 815. Not even sure what that's all about. That was probably somewhere in here and then pushed up. So yeah, it didn't really move that well. And what's crazy is we're only about $10, $15 out of the money for calls, and they're just not moving well. So that really shows you how market makers don't want to give premium back to the call options. And so for calls right now, because we're moving bearish, you really want to be, I think, in the money or right at the money. But there's just really low volume. They're much more expensive. Let's see. Let's look at 1715. Let's see if we do anything around the 1715 price tomorrow. So buying at 12. Yeah, so maybe this would have worked better, buying at 12 down here and flipping that out at 14. So that would have been 2R, but you're right at the money then, You're actually out of the money, because you're getting into the money or at the money as it's hitting these peaks, these highs, these pivots up here. But down here, you're still $7 out of the money, and you can see how there's still just a lot of premium not being given up by an increase, by a directional move to get at the money. And it's a Wednesday, so something's still not right on the bullish side. It doesn't seem like the options are moving very well bullish. They're moving better bearish. You can see the clear movements down here, some bigger directional candles here, and then you're seeing the bigger directional moves, with an option that's nearly doubling in price, going from 650 to 13. It's a double in the price, and you had the same, really similar direction. I mean, not going from 1708 up to 1716. That's $8. We dropped from 1722 down to 1716. So that's $8. Or no, I'm sorry, 1722 down to 1714 is $8. So let's see what I think you're getting much better price movement in the puts. So that would have been, let's call it 7, and that was a move up to 11. So that's still better. That's still 4R. So yeah, it's moving. The options are moving better bearish than they are bullish. That's what I'm trying to say. So you can go through, you can look at a lot of other options. You can see what would have worked well today. If you're too far away on puts, it didn't work. If you're if you're in the money on puts, you're paying up a lot more. I think if you go out to 1675, even though it's a Wednesday, those were still working all right. So that would have been, you had a low down here at 250, buying at 250, that would have worked, and that would have moved, that would have doubled 250 to 5. We're getting in like 3 and holding till you got to 5, 3 by 2 and the target of 5. That's 2R. That would have worked. If you go further out of the money, then you're not going to have the options move as well. You're still getting a lot of volume. So this actually put in a lower low here. Buying at 150, moved in R, moved from 150 to 250. But this is where if you did 150 by $1, maybe you could have gotten into, or no, 150 is right up here. Sorry, 120, 125 by 75. That would have been a little easier. And then flip that out at 225. So that would have worked. And get into 2 of those, then you're still making 2R. But you're not seeing the same value held. So this was getting in at like 175 and a move up to almost 275. Doesn't quite make it there. This pullback here, getting in at 150, flipping. So you just got to know, you got to evaluate the option and figure out, okay, where's my R? What do I think the stock is actually going to do today to move into it? Could we have gotten to 1675, gotten in the money today? I thought so. I thought we could have really had a really directional move and run lower, and we just didn't get going today. We ran into this level and just kept pulling back up to it. So I don't know if there's a lot more bulls trying to buy it in here, but we'll see if we trap any more people in this lower wick here. Let's see. I think we had, which is hard to see zoomed in like that. I can't tell where the volume is at. So the volume, a little more volume today than yesterday. I just can't see it. I'm just looking at up here where it stops, where it says volume. So yeah, a little more volume than yesterday. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Increasing volume. We're going lower. That's, additional confirmation. We already knew he was going lower. We'll see if we get a rest in here tomorrow. Push back up to 1727.80. Somehow, if we could get back up to 1747, the 21 comes down, then have a bigger rollover. Any of that's possible. Let's see. That is earnings. Earnings was okay. So we should have earnings later this month. Should be around here somewhere. Yeah, earnings like the 24th or something. So we got a few more weeks till that happens. Don't have to really worry about that or think about that yet. It just, to me, it looks like we're clearly going down here to 1665. Just don't know if it'll be, this week, next week, a couple weeks. So, if you can get into options that are showing you $100 risk, that you have a good risk to reward there, then play the closer ones. And probably 1700 was a really good one to do that with today, just because it showed some values similar to the peaks from yesterday. And for if we get a continued bearish move tomorrow, 1700 puts would probably be a good one as well. It's just a matter of where it's going to open up, and then if somehow we're getting an open below today or right at the lows of today, go out to 1675, because these are going to be much more expensive and a little harder to get that $100 risk. Whereas like I just showed 1675, it'd be similar to today's situation where we had some peaks around 6. If we get a gap down, we could open around 6 or 5 or 550, and that'd be a good place to be buying, looking for continuation. The only difference would be, if this would refresh, the only difference would be if we gap down and we open around here, we don't have a clear pivot line. The nearest one is this one. This worked really well today because we were selling off from this line right here, and it just worked immediately. I don't see that kind of conviction from a pivot line down here. So that I would be a little hesitant to trade off of directly. I would want to probably have a rally into 1714.50 and then a rollover from there. And so far, we're kind of right at that price. So if we can open up pretty flat and then just show some signs of rolling over or get some consolidation that breaks down, if we can open up right on this, then it'll probably set up very similar to today. This kind of move where we could move lower quickly, and then you'd probably be looking at, I hate to speculate on the option price at the open, but if we open flat, you could probably get this 1675 option for like $2. So if you just had an order sitting at it $2, I'm not telling you to do that. It's your own risk when you click the mouse, or mouse pad or whatever it is that you're using. You're accepting that risk. That's your responsibility to take care of. I'm just saying, looking at where this is, if we open flat, maybe at 2. If we gap down, maybe 4, maybe even 5. But I think you'll see a lot more volume than what was played out today on the 1675. puts, and you'll want to see a directional move like this quickly, and you may have a second chance to get in where it does some sort of pullback here. So if it opens up and it goes from 2 up to 4 real quick, we'll just wait, and over the next 40 minutes to an hour, you could get that opportunity back down at 2 again. If it plays out the same thing as today, which it by no means has to do that. So, but I like this, what we're seeing here. Let's see. Oh, I'm already drawing. Okay, we're gonna this move and retracement, this move and retracement, this move, retracement, maybe. I drew that a little too far. And I'm not measuring this, I'm just sketching it in. But we're having some seemingly clear measured moves. So maybe we move a little further down, and then retrace. Oops, that's not what I want to do. I lost the drawing tool. Where's the drawing tool going? There we go, something like that. These are quicker bounces. It's interesting. It did it same day, did it from morning to the next morning. We haven't seen it yet here. So if could go back into that. All right, so if we see some sort of retracement happening, like this and like this, and let's just say it already started today, look for that to probably have a similar move like that, maybe even up to this price in here by the end of the day tomorrow or sooner. And from there, look for it to roll over. So if this is into the morning or in the afternoon, it could do something like that where it comes right back down. So all possible. I don't know if it's going to bounce that much. I don't know if we're going to open, but we'll just continue to look at the candles and see what's setting up. So I hope this helps. This is just AMZN. Thanks.